Right, so welcome to Poundbury. The sun was out when you arrived and it's no longer out, which is a shame. I'm not sure that's going to be an indication of how the rest of the day goes. But for our viewers, listeners, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, first of all, thanks very much for having me. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here. So my name's Josh Williams. I'm the founder of Bizpedia, which is a business networking group.
Great. Another business networking group?
I wouldn't say another one. I'll definitely try and be different, to be fair. So I would say we're in the networking category, probably at the premium end of the market.
Yeah.
We are currently 165 members across 11 towns and cities.
Wow.
Our members typically turn over anything from $500,000 to $1 billion privately owned, but sort of the net average is 1 to 20 million local entrepreneur director.
Great, brilliant. Exactly what most counties needed. So I was up in Hertfordshire prior to this. I don't think you were in Hertfordshire when I was there previously, otherwise I'd certainly have been a member.
We are now.
So you are now?
Yeah, we are now. Yeah, we're based out of the Grove.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my local golf club. When I lived in Tring.
So it's maybe very good. I had a chance to play it. Yeah,
oh, you want to give it a go?
You a golfer?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, not a great golfer, I hasten to
We should get a game in sometime.
We definitely will. Great stuff. So great to have you with us. So Bizpedia is something that I've certainly, just for transparency, I am a member of Bizpedia. So
we're delighted to have you.
To have the owner of the business along is great. So for the benefit of our listeners, give us a little bit of background on Bizpedia, how it started, where it came from. So we'll talk business for a few minutes before we poke into anything else in your background.
Okay, so where did it come from? I went to Bournemouth Uni, did business. I'm going to have to give you the plotted course here just to give you the background. So I went to Bournemouth Uni to do business. I grew up in Southampton, so my decision for that uni was predicated on the fact that it was far enough to move out, but close enough for my mum to do my washing still. So that was the case.
I can already tell you're very strategic.
So I thought that was my plan. Typically, when you're at university in that sort of age, it's quite socially acceptable to kind of like party,
Yeah.
So my attendance, unfortunately, was very low, 4%. I was more interested in partying, watching movies, chasing girls, that type of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So in short, I scraped a degree. I got a 2-2 in business.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of travelling after that. And when it got to like business time to be like focused on my career, I realised that my CV wasn't going to give me the type of job that I was looking for.
Okay.
I thought I initially wanted to be a stockbroker, so I made a list of all the biggest stockbroking firms like locally. I would walk in and be like, "Oh look, I'm looking for a job. Here's my CV. Have you got anything going?" And in short, there was a company called Farley and Thompson that had a trainee job like 16 grand. I thought, this is it. I've got to write hand page written letter to why I should get the job. Anyway, short story, I didn't get the job. So I said to myself, I'm never going to let anyone tell me what I can and can't do. I'm going to set up a business. I'm going to get into business straight away. So I got a job stacking shelves at Asda, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night, whilst living with my parents. I was like, I need to get into the game of business, something that's low barrier to entry. So say I knew you and you design websites. So you design them, I'll try and sell them. And then as I started this design and marketing company, people were like, you should go network. And I was like, what's that? And they were like, well, you can play golf or meet people. So I set up Bizpedia. It was a free networking event at a local golf club. And then over the years, I've kind of like pivoted, found a gap in the market, and built that business out.
Oh, great story. So it started with golf.
It started with lead generation for the networking company, but golf was a way better way of doing lead generation than cold calling. Which I used to have to like do double vodka oranges just to get the courage, just to make a cold call, which is a true story.
Well, when you read the book, you'll find out a lot of that stuff around trepidation around picking up the phone and doing things is part of that first book. So interesting. And I would say that of all the business owners I meet and have a serious conversation with, probably, let's just say it's 50 a year, I would say that 47 of those hate cold calling and don't think it's something they should do. And as a consequence, what you tend to find is those businesses struggle for a pipeline. Where do my leads come from? What's your marketing strategy? Don't have one. What do you do for marketing? Don't really do anything. How do you sell? People I know. Okay, all of that works fine. Do you pick up the phone? Never pick up the phone. And then they struggle to wonder why they can't grow their business, make more profit, generate more sales, etc., etc. So that's a fairly typical recipe, by the way.
Good today.
So you cracked it by
getting
networking. Double vodka and orange. It might not have been my choice.
I definitely did like crack it by lead generation, going out and meeting people, networking. It was definitely more comfortable for me to go and do that and be in those types of environments.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Well, and of course, sales is about building relationships, isn't it? So what's the old adage? Old adage is know, like, and trust.
That's right.
And you can't get that if you haven't met people and had a conversation, can you? So
true.
Very good. So Bournemouth Uni. So just tell me, before you went to university, what was the best thing about school? What did you enjoy most?
Sports.
Okay.
Yeah, sports. Always played a lot of sports, always been relatively competitive. Yeah, that would probably be it. I've always studied business, and even at school I picked it, and then at college I studied it. So I would always be the guy who was like watching The Apprentice or Dragon's Den and those programs like late at night. Even Donald Trump, The American Apprentice, I'd be watching that. I remember like staying up till like 2 a.m. to watch it. But to be fair, at that time in my life, I was too afraid to put myself into the marketplace. I remember looking at someone at school called John Wild, who was selling tents for the prom and being like, that's the coolest thing ever. But like, I was never going to be that guy at that point in my life to kind of push myself to do it. I was probably more interested in fitting in.
And so so that's my second book, is all about identity, interestingly. So interested in sport, interested in business. So did you have a view of what it was you wanted to do? You said stockbroking a little while ago.
I think like the stockbroking bit just came out when I realised, once I'd graduated and then took a little bit of time to travel with my mates, I realised right now I've got to be serious and grow up and get into the game of having a career. And I think what attracted me, I've always been interested in the markets and what's going on in the world, and I think the money was also like, okay, that looks cool to do. So that's kind of where that came from, and actually it worked in my favour that I didn't get the job at Farley and Thompson. And I had to go and carve my own way. And I don't think had that not happened, then I'd be, living my best life or doing what I really want to be doing, which is this.
Very good. Very good. So
serendipity of life sometimes goes in your direction.
I think that's absolutely true. And you make your own luck, I think, by, how hard you work and the opportunities you take are the key. So my advice to the kids was always just keep your opportunities open. Doesn't matter what you choose to do, just don't narrow it down to the point where you have no other options. So clearly, that's an interesting journey, right? Again, not unusual. So you'd be surprised at the number of entrepreneurs that are A, either on the spectrum somewhere, or B, were sports mad at school and have gone on to be successful business people. Why do you think that is? So what's the connection?
I find the business bit is just being competitive and wanting to succeed and wanting to do my best.
And that's like to win. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're sporty,
it's driven.
Typically you're driven to be successful, want to be the best, and so business works really well for you.
Yeah, I definitely think like... I've always come from the frame like happiness is the game of life, but like business is my sport. There's no coincidence to me that our Bizpedia, I think about my business through two lenses, which is team Bizpedia, which is community, teamwork, and being successful. And if I can help you win, I'm going to win by default, which is a good deal.
Absolutely.
And the other one is I'm throwing a party and being a matchmaker. Do you know what I mean? And those two frames are I just got to acquire the skills to be good at this sport, to be good at business, and it's a really difficult sport to participate in.
Agreed.
So I think that nature to be driven and wanting to do my best.
Good. And wanting to win.
And wanting to win. Yeah, I think having a sibling, my brother works in the business now, and he's 18 months younger, and we grew up playing sports all the time. So I think that wasn't any of my doing, but I think that environment that I grew up in with a younger brother would certainly help.
Definitely helps. Yeah, definitely helps. So what's the long-term strategy? So if you had to look forward 20 years, what does life look like for Josh?
Oh, wow. I think hopefully my kids will be 24 and 22, so I hope they're super, super happy. And, I've been married for a couple of years, so I hope my marriage continues to go well. And I think from a business perspective, who knows? I'm really focused at the moment on the business. Got a kind of a roadmap of moving us to 700 members across the spine of England. Which will take us to about 44 groups, and we're at 11 at the minute. But the world moves fast, and you got to adapt your ship where the wind's going. So too difficult. 20 years from now, hopefully I've got the financial freedom to be choosing. Well, I'm choosing what I want to do anyway. Do you know what I mean? I'm very fortunate to. I feel like I've met my ikigai. Do you know what I mean? I really feel like I found that place, which is great. But who knows? Business-wise, 20 years. I mean, AI is a huge transformation, as we know. We'll see.
Financial freedom is a really interesting phrase.
I think. Although,
So you meet loads of business owners, clearly, because that's your network, that's your community. So do you think that's true of most people that are in your community? If you look at the people that join, whether you're a finance person or you're selling conservatories, doesn't matter, does it? Your business is healthy. Do you think people think about what their long-term future is? Or are they so in the now that it's about today, not about 10, 15, 20 years' time?
I would say my experience would say it's probably not the norm for most people to be thinking that far ahead. And most people are probably fire in to a degree, or in it, the adage of working on the business as opposed to in it. But I suppose it depends also how long you've been in business, because you're acquiring more experience, right? And then more time, and you can have more people in your team to kind of do that. So on the whole, my best guess is that most people, including myself, until more recently, have been more in it firefighting than more strategic.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? So I always talk about life and business. So you're put on the planet to live a life, right? You're not put on the planet to work.
No, you know, like the odds of being alive is 400 trillion to 1.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
It's the greatest gift. It's the biggest lottery of all time.
It is.
Like, and you got it for free.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we here to do with it?
Absolutely.
And that is.
And so work funds your life.
Yeah, I mean, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like, you need to put like food, shelter, you know. All of those kind of things, like reach, I guess, self-actualization, as they would say. Yeah. But you can make money doing anything.
You can. But should you not, on the basis you put on the planet to live a life, should your work not be enjoyable in order to fund your life?
Amen. Yeah.
So do you know what the stats are for people who hate what they do every day?
I'd imagine they're incredibly high.
Yeah, so in the network of people in your group is probably very low, but typically 70% of people in the UK and the US, 67% I think is the number, are unhappy with what they do at work every day.
That sucks.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
So why are you so positive?
I appreciate you saying that. I think like one thing that fundamentally changed my life was in 2016. I had a long-term girlfriend, and I'd already kind of like been running my business out. But then I actually got into, because I was unhappy, I had to move back in with my parents, and kind of like, and that was serendipity as well, to be fair. Then I sort of got into personal development, like Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk, and in short, I'd heard them. Both of them spoke a lot about gratitude. Yeah. And I was like, these guys are saying the same thing slightly differently. It's all storytelling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I really was like, right, I'm going to try and practice gratitude. And I did. And I was like, I'm going to treat it like a gym and build a habit on top of it. So in the shower in the morning, I was like building this habit of gratitude. So I would close my eyes, think about how many stars are on the universe, like 2 billion galaxies. Yeah. Like one of those is the Milky Way, 200 billion stars, and the sun. I think about St Mary's football stadium. Yeah. The odds of being alive. Yeah, but go back to being positive. I think I've just inherently really tried to wire my system to be much more grateful around the story of like how much of a gift this is. Yeah. And that probably is the thing that changed the course of my life the most. I already like meeting my wife, like things like that have all been the manifestation of being more positive. But it's something I worked really hard at, which was a mindset piece, out of the serendipity of a breakup, which was, I was a part of that. But
Sure. There's always a causation for something or another, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah, but that's fascinating. So I don't meet many people who have that kind of philosophy around life. I mean, how lucky we are to be here. Yeah. Otherwise we'd all be celebrating every day.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was like, YOLO, right? But the only reason I didn't act that way is because I never truly believed it. I didn't, and that was because I didn't feel it. But I really work hard at feeling it, and therefore it dictates my actions that I take. But that's not me. That was like a circumstance in my life that led me down that path. Sure. Otherwise, I'm pretty confident that I wouldn't be saying those things to you today. Do you know what I mean? So there's a level of gratitude in me. A level of gratitude, but in me for that. So, but it definitely helps me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it really helps me because it reduces fear.
Well, and people pick up on the positivity as well. That's the other thing, isn't it? So this spreads into team culture. So you talked about Team Bizpedia. That positivity is your culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And culture's everything, isn't it? And I mean, that's probably one of the inherent things that's a bit of a problem right now. Going back to 70% of people don't enjoy their work. It's like, well, we haven't created an atmosphere or an environment or a culture that's really like encouraging, to follow your dreams and and bigging you up and pushing you. And I think that is part of, certainly what we're trying to do in the culture of Bizpedia. Do you know what I mean? Be empathetic, but, hard work and honesty and fun's one of our values because like life's too short, right?
Too right. Too right. So the first book, Self-Sabotage. Second book's Identity. So your DNA doesn't dictate your behaviour. Core is 50% from one parent, 50 from the other, or 99 from one and one from the other. So which parent are you most like, mum or dad?
I'm probably more like my dad.
And is your dad inherently positive? Is his glass half full?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. He's definitely. I would say so.
Yeah. So again, it's interesting. So you pick up obviously that learned behaviour from parents. So your DNA doesn't dictate your behaviour. You learn behaviour from your parents, and then of course you go to work or you go to university, you learn some other stuff, and you go to work and you learn some other stuff. And depending on who your manager is, or who your boss is, or what the workplace culture is like, really dictates how you think going forwards. But if you haven't really worked for anybody else, and you've worked for yourself for all that time, creating that environment for yourself is incredibly difficult. So you've done a cracking job.
Try.
Yeah, and I can tell, knowing some of the people in Bizpedia, that obviously does breed as as part of the culture of the business. So why do you think most organisations don't think about workplace culture in the same way that you're addressing it? What do you think the cause is?
I think some of it's education and time and guidance and mentorship, those types of things. I think are probably the bottlenecks to, you don't know what you don't know. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what you don't know.
My favourite saying.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't know. Although my biggest, I remember chatting to some of our members in the last couple of years, but I'm just about to have my first child. And they're like, oh, mate, you don't know. And I'm like, mate, my life's not going to change. I was fortunate to play golf yesterday with the founder of Mint Velvet.
Okay,
I played at a place called Beaverbrook. Got it in an auction, and I played with a member, and that's it. The member I was chatting, Jason Oliver, his name is, runs a company called Global Ceramic Thailand. I've known him for a long time, him and his wife. Great members. And he was, I remember saying to him, I'm just about to have I used to do all this personal development study, and I still try to. He was like, mate, your life is going to change. I was like, hey, it won't change. I got this down. Then you have kids and you realise you don't know what you don't know. Do you know what I mean? So absolutely. It's so true. And I think it's the same business, do you know what I mean? And we're working really hard at the moment to scale. Do you know what I mean? We were up to 11 and we got this plan to go to 44 towns and cities, 700 members. And like lead generation, for example, like content just as one pillar, like social media, what a skill it is. You got to like from thumbnails to summaries to time of day you're posting. It's just, you don't know what you don't know. And then you like spend time with people like yourself or experts in the field. And you got to work hard to get better educated.
And the harder you work, the luckier you get. So 4x scaling. You said 44, I think, was the number
44.
You're at 11, want to get to 44. So what does that take? Apart from a lot of members who love what you do and want to join.
How we did our business plan is if we divided England into 9 circles, and each circle has 4 groups in it.
Okay.
So, for example, last year we did one circle was Ascot, Oxford, Hertfordshire, and Reading, and each of those circles is run by a full-time area manager. We call them Bizpedia hosts, right? Going back to the Bizpedia pie. So it's 9 circles with a full-time employee that runs each area.
Got it.
So we did 1 circle last year. The plan was 1 circle this year, which is Bristol, Bath, Cardiff and Newport. But I actually made a decision this week just to slow down on that growth and just focus on the 11 that we've got at the moment. I've just embedded a couple of new members of staff and from a leadership perspective, so a new operations director and a new membership director.
Great.
So I'm just, trying to manage that growth and actually slow down a little bit this year. Well, that was their advice and I slept on it and I was like, it's probably the right advice. So we're taking that. But 9 circles, 4 groups in each, and that will move us as we execute that to the 700.
Okay. So grow, scale and exit is the general terminology. So I spend most of my time in those 3 circles. So the middle one's really hard. The scale one is the place where most people fall down.
What should I be looking out for? What's the
you can't scale until you've grown to the point where your systems are perfect, everything works really well, and then you can think about scaling. And even then, it provides a lot of stress. Cash flow being a big part of that. If you want to scale quickly. I had an inquiry from somebody on LinkedIn the other day. Is at about 5 million, wants to go 4x in 2 years. Great. Well, we can do it. Absolutely, no question. Done it a number of times, but boy, is it hard work. And you've got to be prepared, and your guys have got to be prepared to put in the work to do that. So anything's possible, I always say. You can do anything you want, it's just the amount of work and money you've got to throw at it. Business is just such a fascinating thing. So are there any offshoots from Bizpedia that you see as opportunities? So, you've got a core concept, which is brilliant, events, board meetings, etc.
My problem, I would say, is that I can think of loads of things. I've got loads of things. My problem, I would be further up my mountain in this decade or so if I could focus or get less. I can focus, I've definitely, but less easily distracted. Do you know what I mean? And I've worked really hard on that post-COVID. But coming up with there's loads I could do. I know. Do you know what I mean? My first board call was building the community and the platform across England. One of my favourite business analogies is Disney. Right. So Disney did circa say 5 billion last year in movie sales.
Yeah.
But they did 25 billion in merchandise.
Yeah.
Now they can't do the merchandise without the movies.
Correct.
And whatever I decide to do next, whether that's exit or build something around the platform or the network that I build, I think would have the opportunity to do something 4 or 5. I mean, AI, blockchain, there's a lot of stuff that's in the wind that's kind of come in.
Yeah.
And for example, like you take a category like banking, local business banks or those departments are actually moving out of local towns and cities.
Yeah.
So I see that as a pretty good vertical to be like looking at and seeing what's, but there's loads of stuff going on. At the moment, I'm really, none of that happens if I don't get my movies right, which is my community, right? So,
quite right.
And who knows? Like I was saying to my wife, like having come back from a bit of time with this, the founder of Min Valve yesterday, like, you know, maybe I'll just, you know, in 10 years take some time off and we'll go traveling with the kid. Who knows?
Nice.
So
nice.
I'm always thinking, I'm always trying to strategize, but I also know that execution is the game.
Yeah, execution is the game, absolutely. But you know, it's a great comment, right? So, you know, maybe in 10 years' time we'll go traveling with the kids. Well, why maybe?
Why maybe?
Yeah, why maybe? Why not write it down and make it a date?
Yeah, no, to be,
it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, to be
terminology
fair,
is really important.
Yeah, no, I get that absolutely. Words are powerful, right?
Yeah,
Noted. I don't want to overpromise. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, noted. No, I don't disagree.
So it's one of those things, isn't it? So a lot of people ask me why we live on the South Coast. Well, because that was a goal that my wife wanted to achieve 10 years ago, and so we made it happen.
Yeah.
We're a little bit earlier than we intended. It was intended to be about 2 years from now, but circumstances just meant we could do it.
Yeah.
So
I would say it's something that I could definitely do better at and I'm learning to, but even from this conversation is much clearer, like written down goals. Yeah, much clearer written down goals. And, you know, we did, for example, my daughter started school in September and, you know, me and my wife were like, right, okay, well, this is the school that she's going to go to, and we've got to buy a house around like 3 roads because my wife doesn't drive. That was our strategy, and we really planned it, and we got the keys in December of last year. We moved in January this year.
Congratulations.
So yeah, it feels good when you're like really focused, got complete clarity on where you're aiming. Yeah. So there is some stuff that I've got in the back of my mind that are like goals like that, but I should definitely write them down.
Yeah, and as the kids get a little bit older, what you should do is a family planning session where they have their own goals, and the whole family have got their goals, and you should stick it on a wall where everybody can see it. Because if it is, the oldest one wants to go to Disney, Florida in 5 years' time, put it on the chart. Because if you put it on the chart, it's going to happen.
Isn't it like? Doesn't it feel good to do those things? I'm sure it did for you, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
The journey is the reward, but you know what you're aiming at. Like, what's the mountain? I want to move down to the south coast.
Yes.
As I'm making progress on that journey, I feel good about it.
Yes, 100%.
And you're taking people with you, and you and your wife and your family, or me and my wife and my kids, are on that journey together.
Yeah,
nothing
absolutely.
better than that feeling.
Nope. And every time you achieve something, you get a little shot of dopamine, which makes you more likely to do the next thing.
Yeah.
And that's true in business because, of course, you plan the next quarter. We do 90-day planning every 3 months. We get all of our clients together, put them in a room, and we do a bit of motivational stuff, and then it's a planning session. 2 hours, you do nothing but write your plan for the next 90 days. Well, that is a great discipline. Nobody does it. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
And then you've got a year plan, and you've probably got a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. And if you're as young as you are, I'm a little bit older than you now these days, but what's your 20-year goal?
Yeah.
Is it to sell? Because if it is, that's fine. But is it to move to the US or do whatever that might look like? But once you write it down, it's much more likely to happen.
Why do you think it is that we don't have those habits?
I think that work becomes people's life when it shouldn't be. And I'm guilty of this, by the way. I've spent years doing this. I worked for Apple for a number of years and Symantec. The business becomes your life because you are so intent on making it work or achieving your goals or whatever else it might be. And the day I started my own business, I went, well, what the hell was I doing that for somebody else when I should be doing it for myself, right? Mm-hmm. But you still forget that it's about the now and it's not about the tomorrow. And actually, it should be about the tomorrow. And if you get the tomorrow date locked and loaded, now becomes much easier. Because you're doing things for a purpose. We all need a purpose, right?
Yeah, right.
So what's your purpose?
Good question. So what motivates? I kind of think about like what's motivating me to climb. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I draw on a lot of competition's a great motivator for me.
Yeah.
Contributions are probably an even bigger one. Mm-hmm. I want you to win.
Yeah.
I want to take care of people. I think we're in this really interesting time in human history with a lot of digital transformation. But I do think we're probably going more Flintstones in the future, a lot more connection to myself, like working on that but also connection to one another. So I think community will be massive. Which is kind of where I'm taking my chip, right? Or trying to bring people together. Do you know what I mean? So that there's better teamwork, that we're being more successful, more productive, and that can be fun at the same time, right?
Absolutely right.
So that gives me a lot. When people, if we've made someone some money. That feels great because we're making a difference there. Or if someone says, actually, we do meditation in our ballrooms, right? It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's probably the thing that I get, the most vehement feedback on. But, I stick with it because there's plenty of anecdotes or people that speak to me where I'm like, well, actually, that's really helped me. Or the community, you being there for a fellow member and just actually being reassuring or listening to their problems.
Yes.
I find that really fulfilling.
Massive.
Do you know what I mean? That we're making a difference, or we're all making a difference together. So, I draw on that. I draw on competition. I draw on my family. I draw on gratitude because I don't want to have any regrets. Going back to this greatest gift of all time. I want to leave it all on the football pitch and run my little socks off and just, I'm down with that. Do you know what I mean? So I got to look myself in the mirror.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So, all of those things.
Yeah, interesting. And again, if you ask me,
I like nice things as well. I don't I'll be the business, moving into, I guess, the premium end of the network, whereas the hotels or, this golf course play yesterday, I was like, wow, this is the guy that paid was like 350 grand to join. Not that I've got it, I was like, wow, that's but the whole setup was beautiful, right?
Of course.
And I find being in those environments inspiring.
Absolutely.
I came back and I was like, that's cool. I was just, and then I started thinking more about goals and traveling with the kids and stuff like that. So
yeah, because anything's possible. So the question is, what's the possible that you want for you and the family? That should be the first priority, and then work should be the thing that feeds the things that you want. And often, if you know what the end game looks like, the work becomes easier because you're doing it for a purpose, right? If my purpose is to take the family and extended family away for 4 weeks to the Bahamas in 10 years' time, well, great. That will cause you to work better and harder at the business you're working on currently. So all these things are interconnected, aren't they?
Yeah, that's why I like the Ikigai model, because it's your raison d'etre or your reason for living. You'll correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's what I'm good at, what I can get paid for, how I can help others.
What the world needs.
And what the world needs, So it's that intersection. And I feel like in my own life that I've been able to find that through. You know what I mean? I like business, I like sports, I like people. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I can contribute in the pact of bringing people together and creating a community that helps businesses be more successful. So, kind of all that gives me a reason for getting up in the morning and keep driving. Yeah,
do you talk about Ikigai very much to other people?
Sometimes I do, I love the framework for talking about, again, the game within a game, the game of life. I think it's a really good framework for being actually, it's all storytelling. I think it's a good framework for telling the story of how you might be able to find it.
It is, absolutely. So I met a company a little while ago. 3 senior management team members had been there in that business for 47 years. Never worked anywhere else. How exciting do you think it was to work in that business?
My guess is they must really enjoy it. You're saying they didn't? Well, we just spent 47 years doing it.
Comfort zone.
Right,
in the book.
Yeah.
Easy. Leave at the end of the day. Don't worry about it. But there's no inspiration in the business. There's no go get 'em. There's no game changing. There's no strategy. There's none of that. So you can imagine I walked in there and I'm like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
So your attitude to business and to life is something that is probably infectious to other people, because the way you talk about it is you're talking about. I mean, the game of life is a brilliant phrase, isn't it? If the game of life is true and you can do anything, you just got to put your mind to it.
Yeah.
Then why not create the life that we want? Because that's what we're all here for.
Yeah. No, I really feel like we are. Do you know what I mean? And my only experience, and the only reason I kind of found it, is not because of me, it's mainly because of circumstance. Do you know what I mean? But taking that circumstance and trying to influence or move people, to think about it. I like that in my team. Do you know what I mean? If one of my team hands in their notice because it's to go and follow their passion, I'm buzzing. I'm real happy for them. Do you know what I mean? I want that for you. I know what I'm doing for me, and I want to contribute, but I want you to be happy. I want you to be successful.
100%.
So it's it just feels the best.
There you go. So we always talk about George, lives around the corner. George is just about to start his business for the first time. What would you tell him? What's your advice?
George around the corner. What would I tell him? I'll tell him running a business and building a business is incredibly difficult and hard. It's a really tough sport. Do you know what I mean? So you got to be really thoughtful about what it is you want to do. Because personal water service is the one that likes walking, right?
True.
it's going to be really difficult. It's going to take a lot longer than you think it's going to take, and it's going to take more energy and money, and what it's going to require a lot from you. So you've got to be really sure that you're going to want to go on this journey. So what are you passionate about? What do you What do you enjoy?
Yeah.
I think the longest study on happiness is Harvard's 200-year study, and there's no correlation between money and happiness apart from a certain level. The biggest thing is depth of relationship with the people around you.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to, if you're passionate about art, find a way to make $80,000 a year, or be pragmatic, whatever the number is. To do what you love. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be harder. It's going to be more difficult. It's going to take longer. Just be sure you want to go on the journey.
Yeah. Good advice. So would you do it all over again?
Yeah, absolutely.
In exactly the same way?
No, definitely not in exactly the same way. Hopefully I've learned something in the last 12 years.
So what would you have changed?
I would probably go back to something that I've taken from this conversation. Is definitely you set goals much more clearly. I would have probably protected my time more to work on the business as opposed to in it. And rather than spend so much time thinking strategy in the early days, get down to the execution.
Yeah.
That's really where it's at.
Yeah, what do I do every day to make a difference? Brilliant. Love it. You've been very very open. This was much more psychological than I expected it to be. So you've done some huge amounts of self-development there, haven't you? So part of my advice for George would be actually to think about some of the stuff that you've implanted right early doors. Gratitude, reflection, all those things are massively, massively important, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the things that I think they're universal. Do you know what I mean? To people. So I think I try and journal in the evenings. I'm a little bit out of my game, if I'm honest, at the moment in terms of personal development. I'm trying to get back into it, having the moving and stuff like that. But it's. I just think that's going to be, if I'm going to be successful in business or to a higher degree, it will be because of those things.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Josh, it's been a pleasure.
No, thanks for your time.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good to see you.